Now, Labor has handed down its third budget, spruiking a raft of cost of living measures. These include a $300 energy rebate to most households. That's the headline figure. But there's also the 10% boost to Commonwealth rent assistance. Let's go to Cassandra Goldie in Canberra now, the CEO of the Australian Council of Social Service. So a couple of points there. Cassandra, good to see you. Thanks for your time, by the way. So broadly, what are your thoughts on the budget?
Well, Pete, this isn't a budget that's delivered for people who are the most vulnerable. Going into the budget, we were assured this was going to be cost of living first priority. And if you were going to do that, you'd put people with the least first. We've got a gaping hole in this federal budget. Right at its heart, it did not deliver that desperately needed increase to job seeker and youth allowance. Those two payments were woefully inadequate before the budget. They're woefully inadequate right now. Yes, we've got that $300 extra help on energy bills, but Pete, that goes right up to the highest income, wealthiest households in the country, and yet we've got virtually nothing for people on those very, very low incomes. And just contrary to all the expert advice, including leading economists in Australia, we didn't see that in the budget again last night.
So what would you suggest on that energy rebate then, that it's means tested?
Well, we'd said do it very differently. In fact, we'd written to the government previously saying don't do that energy rebate in the same way. It is one-off. It doesn't actually help longer term for people. Longer term for people, they need more adequate income, so that is about social security. And then when it comes to energy, we need to remove the consumer levy that's on energy bills that's helping to subsidise investments in things like solar panels, put that on the government's balance sheet and take it off the bills, because what that's doing is hurting people on the lowest incomes the most, because when you're a renter and you're living in a hot box, you're using the most of your energy. People with, a lot of assets, a lot of wealth, they're retrofitting their homes, they're reducing their energy bills very clearly already. It's people on low incomes in rental life who are the ones that are hurting the most on those energy bills.
They will spend that too, won't they? I mean, if you're saving $300 on an energy bill, you're not going to bank it, you're going to spend it, right?
Well, this is the issue, Peter. I mean, that's why we said do the structural changes needed to deal with the worst of the cost of living crisis of people who are being hit the hardest. That's why the government's own expert panel, the Economic Inclusion Advisory Committee, recommended first priority, fix the adequacy of job seeker. That unemployment payment is the lowest amongst all the OECD countries. It's only $55 per day. If you're a young person, it's only $45 per day, and it will be the same every single day. That $300, every dollar will help when you're on a very low income, but you've got to be in formal housing. That's the first thing. Many people on these really low incomes, they're in informal couch surfing life now because they cannot afford to pay for their own lease. They certainly can't afford to be, feeding themselves 3 times a day. That is what we're hearing. This is all about food, actually. That's what people are going to be going without.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got the tax cuts. Well, you've got the rent assistance there that you brought up, and you've got tax cuts around the corner as well.
Well, look, the tax cut package, we welcome the redesign of that stage 3. Said it's $26 billion that's going to be going out the door from 1 July. But let's remember that will deliver $4,500 extra into the hands of people on the very highest incomes, at the same time as we haven't delivered the substantial increase to our woefully inadequate social security payments. And so it shouldn't surprise anybody that we are now very critical of this decision. As I say, it's a gaping hole at the heart of this budget, and we cannot understand why a government that says that it would not leave anybody behind, that it was going to put cost of living first, would not have delivered the adequacy of social security. Over 300 prominent women wrote to the Prime Minister urging to fix the adequacy of social security. That is about safety for women leaving violent relationships. It's also about financial pressures for people on the very lowest incomes being put as the top priority, and that's not what happened.
Cassandra Goldie, thanks for your time. Talk to you soon.